Good Sunday morning, folks, and thanks for joining us this morning. I hope you all are having a fantastic weekend. Well, let's jump right into the show. We are sitting down with the boys in blue. We are talking about the National Night Out. We have Lieutenant Johnny Cano joining us, and we have the PIO for the Weslaco Police Department, Eric Hernandez. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So we're talking about National Night Out. Now, what is that?
Okay, National Night Out. First of all, I must talk about the National Association of Town Watch, in short for NATW. The National Association of Town Watch, it's basically a nonprofit crime prevention and drug prevention organization, which started back in 1981. The NATW, what it did was work with law enforcement agencies and neighborhood crime watch groups throughout the country. The NATW is actually the one that started the National Night Out back in 1984. It did start off with about 400 communities, 2.5 million people participating in 23 states across the country. Since then, last year, it's grown exponentially to about 33 million people and over 1,000 communities across the nation, to include even U.S. military installations, partake in this National Night Out that we have every year.
Well, yeah, definitely. As you mentioned, this happens every year, and I know a lot of different agencies do host their own, and maybe in different cities or things across kind of the nation, and so that's really good. And so, kind of, what's the purpose of having one of these National Night Outs?
It's an excellent way to get the community to come out. They'll be meeting the first responders that work in their cities. There they can ask us any questions that they might have pertaining to anything that they might have questions about, whether it's a neighborhood watch, how to establish one, where does it start. So we're there to answer any of the questions that they have.
Awesome. And as you mentioned, it's a great way to kind of get to know your neighbors too as well, to kind of familiarize, especially if maybe you're new to the neighborhood or maybe you don't even know your neighbors. It's always good to kind of have that kind of relationship with them.
Most definitely. That's the main purpose of these events. It's to bring the community out, not only to meet the first responders, but so that they can actually get to know each other as well.
And that's good, especially if people are heading out of town, maybe to keep a kind of watchful eye on their home, or if they see anything. That's always important a lot of the time, that if people are going out of town and they don't really have somebody to watch their home, or they're going to be gone for an extended period of time.
You're able to build that rapport, that trust with the neighbor. Therefore, you can trust them, and can you watch over my home while we are gone?
Definitely. So what can we expect this year for this year's event?
Well, first off, we'll start with a date. It is set for October 9th.
Okay.
It is going to be located at our City Hall parking lot, which the address is 255 South Kansas. It'll run from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We can expect approximately anywhere between 65 to about 80 vendors. And these vendors, some of the vendors will be selling snacks and little things, and you'll have other vendors that are providing valuable information.
Awesome. And so what have you seen as far as like last year's event, as far as people coming out, any questions? What are some of the things that you kind of, the common questions that people come up and ask you, or the things that you see a lot of more people getting involved in, whether it's talking to you guys or to their neighbors or to different specific vendors maybe?
Honestly, a lot of it'll come down to actually neighborhood watches. They want to know, what does it take to start one? What's the process? How do they do it? So we provide them with all that information. We have everything on hand. And it's just a great way, like I said, to bring the community out and answer the questions for them. Of
course. And so I'm sorry.
And normally we talk about National Night Out, we talk about also crime prevention too as well. I mean, that's according to what Officer Hernandez said as well, that they establish neighborhood crime watch groups, but we also educate them on crime prevention, what to look out for, as far as crime prevention is concerned. Anything that's dealing with, with crime, what to be on the lookout for. So
there are various methods that we can implement to prevent ourselves from being victims of crime. So we kind of try to educate the community on that as well.
Of course. And so these neighborhood watches, do we have a lot established within the city of Weslaco? Does it all depend on the different neighborhood, or does it depend on different location within the city?
Every neighborhood is allowed to establish their own neighborhood, and they're basically in charge of their own neighborhood watch. What they do is, on a day that they need an officer there, they'll call one of us out, and we can present them with stats and information regarding crime in and around their neighborhood.
And if they don't have one established at the moment, and say hopefully they will work towards establishing one, is there anything else that they can do to kind of get in contact or kind of do anything to prevent any crime or just to kind of keep in contact with others?
That's the importance of that, of the community event that we're having. All
Okay.
the information that they need will be provided to them there.
Perfect. And so what are some of the common questions that people come and ask you as far as, you know, how to protect their home or how to protect themselves if they're out, or, you know, what are some of the things that they tend to ask you all about?
They'll start, is there a better way for them to secure their home?
Okay.
And it all begins with things as simple as locks and their windows. We educate them on how to properly secure their locks and windows. A lot of people don't have the particular locks that we recommend, so we'll give them examples of what they can place to better secure their homes.
Of course. And what are some things people can do right now that maybe they're watching at home, or some just quick tips that they should be doing almost on a day-to-day basis to kind of secure their homes or to keep safe, as far as, you know, making sure, like you mentioned, like locking your doors? Or I know sometimes people tend to not lock their doors because they're like, oh, nobody will come in, or even their vehicles in their park, because they're parked in their, you know, garages or in their front yard. They think, oh, nobody will come in.
Right.
Very basic tips. Very,
Yeah.
anything from, like you mentioned, make sure that your doors are locked, make sure that your vehicle's doors are locked. Don't leave any valuables inside. Try to upkeep your yard. If you fail to maintain the yard, it kind of gives the impression that you really don't worry too much about your area. So if you upkeep your yard, a lot of those things, simple things that you can do to prevent that from happening.
Of course. And then within the car too, I know I worked with you all on a story too not too long ago. The lock, take, and hide, I believe it is.
Yes.
Of course. So you definitely want to do that with your cars. You want to lock your car. You want to take anything of value out, as you mentioned. And then of course, if you're at a shopping center or you can't
Hide,
take something out, you know, make sure
You
to
wanna hide
hide
it. Hide
it
your
so
belongings.
that nobody will see if you have anything worthy to kind of get in there and
Correct.
take.
But we definitely encourage the community to come out. Like I
Yeah,
said,
of
it is
course.
a great opportunity to get to meet everybody and introduce themselves. Like I mentioned, we will have various vendors, anything from vehicle insurance to home insurance to just all types of vendors that will provide all this type of valuable information that the community needs.
Perfect. Again, and let's just run through the date one more time so people at home can get that. I know it is on your screen, but it is going to be on October 9th, on a Tuesday.
October 9th, yes.
Okay, from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Weslaco City Hall. It'll be hosted in that parking lot. So I think all the vendors will just kind of be dispersed within there.
Correct.
And kind of set up their own little stand. So it'll be a great time to come on out with your family and kind of meet your neighbors, meet just different people in the community, of course, as you mentioned, to kind of get yourselves informed and keep yourself safe and kind of work together.
That's definitely what the event's about.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it. Sounds like it'll be a great event, and I hope it is just as successful as last year. Thank you both so much.
Thank you for having us.
All right, folks. Well, when we come back, we are talking to the Citizens Volunteer Council about an upcoming fundraiser that I think you're going to be excited about. We'll be right back.